Hi, this is Elitom El-Amin, and today we're going to talk about the Breatharian second life and reincarnation. The Breatharian second life. Now, what does that mean? There's a wise saying that says that we have two lives. Your second life begins when you realize that you only have one life. Let me repeat that. We have two lives, but your second life begins when you realize that you only have one life. Now, we got a word that we use in humanity, and it's called spirituality. And we're in an age where some intellectuals will look at it and say, they automatically try to relate it to religion, but you really can't do that, because no matter if you did that or not. One day I picked up a science magazine, and it was amazing on the words they were using. They were using words like hope, belief, faith, and these were words that they were using trying to describe the black hole. So it's in man to explore things, going deeper into his consciousness. And that's what true spirituality is. It isn't just the rituals of religion. And as we use that word spirituality, we're talking about a spiral of growth, because we're growing beings. Just like from when you was a baby in a physical body to where you're at now, and you continue to grow all throughout life. But there's an inward part of us, or our mental thinking. Let's just go there. Because the point when you get, when you feel you can't learn no more, they say that's where your life is about to cease. Ain't no use to live no more. And it's amazing how as you grow, you always have the ability to learn something new. So when we deal with human development, there's two aspects that you deal with. One is, what should I stop doing? And what should I add into my conduct or into my intellect? So we deal with these things constantly, no matter what age you're growing up in. There's a thing called human development and human growth, and that's what we put under the gauges of the word spirituality. But going back to this, we got two lives. When a person is born, of course, being a baby, you are looking at this new exploration world, and you go into it. You're exploring, you're experimenting, and that's what it's all about. Because experience is your best teacher, your experience in life. And you got those around you who've been here before you, who hopefully they can give you the right information and the right tools so you can be successful in a lot of things. But even then, there's some things, no matter how much somebody tell you, you have to experience it on your own. And as a collective group, as we expand, you got those who we call trailblazers, who will pave the way before everybody else as humanity brings something new, whether if it's an external invention or something dealing with our spiritual development. And when you ask a person about their spiritual journey, they always have a destination point on when they started to come into some type of enlightenment or a new idea that changed their life. Everybody has that type of story. Because no matter who you are, what you own, what color you are, what race, ethnic group, what belief system, there's these questions that's in us that we really want to get a grip on. Who am I? Where am I at? And what am I supposed to be really doing with my life? And how to fulfill that empty void. Because when you deal with these levels, money can't buy this. Absolutely not. Money could do a lot of things, but it cannot do this. This is another type of work altogether. And now we're in an age where we can take that word spirituality and kind of put it to the side so we can relate a lot more, since we're at the age of science and technology big time, and we're using new terminologies where people can understand. Instead of using the word aura around the body where people used to use it and look real spooky, do it really exist or not? But now we could use the word an electromagnetic field, which all physical matter has it. Even your physical body. It don't matter what it is. So we are giving off a signal that everybody should be caught up to, and that's what we used to call the aura. So when you're dealing with your second life, when you realize you only have one, and we got this Breatharian message that's on the scene now, and what's connected to the Breatharian message is perfect health, longevity, and physical immortality. Because all your ancient cultures was talking about living forever. And this isn't far-fetched for those who's in the know, because I gave a teaching one day to a group of people, and I have a video on it, with an elite around the planet who got a lot of money. That's what we're talking about. If you got money, you could buy a lot of things. Let's just go ahead and say it. And they are actually seeking ways of physical immortality, getting the best doctors, the best mind, the best equipment. So they believe it. And you would too if you had a lot of resources. If you ain't want to die, you want to keep on enjoying your resources. It just makes sense. Why not make that investment? But the ancients, you understand, had that already laid out, that it exists. And we are in an age where we're learning a lot more about our health like never before. You do have to put some effort to it because you cannot buy it. Health is earned. It's your conduct, it's your body, it is your mind. So when you deal with the Breatharian message, that's taking another angle in the spirituality like never before, because the last spirituality didn't care about the physical body. It said you are going to die and go somewhere else. That's what it said. But we never see nobody that actually physically come back. I know we got a story, I ain't going to name no names, about that, but we didn't see that. So that right there can dumb down your psyche if you really believe that, without no type of proof like that. Now I know some people say, well, spirituality can't be proved, but that's the last spirituality. The Breatharian message is dealing more solid with the spiritual sciences, the energetic sciences, with the human being's relationship, his responsibility of how he's conducting himself so he can align himself, so he can regenerate, because the body does regenerate. You got new skin every 30 days, new stomach every 5 days. So if you're not caught up on that, I don't know where you've been. This is like the new paradigm. And we got more people being healthier also than ever before. Yeah, we do. The age is what? Getting a lot longer now. And everywhere I go, where I travel, there is a group, a remnant, who you can see is putting in some effort to earn more life added onto their body, added onto their mind. But the good catcher is when we deal with these foods. We're in age too like never before, where we also got the memo that when you put food in your body, it means a lot. It makes a change. You just connect it with it. And there's some foods that are more easier on the body than others. And even how much you eat. But then this is where it gets good. When you deal with the Breatharian message, we're saying it comes from ancient knowledge, an ancient word for fasting that means anedia, which means to eat very little or none at all. It actually went there, it said none at all. And also it got that physical immortality. So we're looking at it with a close eye. This is for the true seekers. Everybody is not going to want to desire this. It's okay. But for those who have a true seeking mind, this is for what this message is for. So that's why we gave that proverb, we have 2 lives. But your second life begins when you realize you got one. When a person realizes that they only have one life, these are usually the people that take this message seriously. Because some people think they got a lot of time until you lose it. You grow bitter. You wasted your time. Serious. There's a lot of older people right now you'll go to and they'll tell you some mistakes and bitterness. It's time to listen to them, because they say a wise man not only listen to people who's talking wisdom, they also listen to the foolish. Let me repeat. A wise man listens to the wise people, and they listen to the foolish, because both of them is going to help you. And also when you're dealing with life, it says a wise man love to have an enemy that has some intellect than to have friends that's fools. Because when you got friends that's fools, you are not going to develop around fools, even though they're friendly. But an enemy with some intellect, that means there's something that's coming against you and it got intellect. It strengthens your intellect to counteract it. So when you realize you got one life, and there was some forces that was going against you, which was ignorance, you have to up your game, up your intellect in order to counteract it. In other words, you're in the arms race with your own self. And you can't use the same weapon that the enemy gave you to say, use this weapon. It wouldn't be in their best interest to give you something that's going to defeat them. And ain't no use of using a solution for a problem on using something that caused a problem. You got to go outside the box to expand your knowledge to combat it. So there's some things in the last spirituality, because it did get hijacked. How do we know this? Because we have a lot of religious people on the planet. They'll talk about how powerful spirit is and how powerful God is. But for some strange reason, why aren't you running the planet? You're too busy praying over it. It'll happen when it's time. That means you have no power. And a man has no power, or has great power over something that is not his. So the Breatharian knowledge at least gives you the opportunity to go back and find out what is yours and what belongs to you. And guess what? It's inside of you. And when you get a hold of the thing that's yours and you begin to tap into it, that's when you got some power. And with power, great power comes authority. And then you'll be able to what? Command some things, move some things in what we call true spiritual power. Oh man, this is good, ain't it? So that's when your second life begins, because there's some things that hijacked us last time. One was you didn't care nothing about the physical body. Another one was where it said you have to die, and we all got to die. That's what it said. But when you deal with the scriptures, it wasn't talking physically like that. It was talking on the spiritual level. So there's teachers now like myself and others who's coming back, going to show you the meaning on what it's talking about, to bring it from thought to reality. So that's why now when we teach the Breatharian knowledge, you even got to admit, it is so practical. It's right in your face. It's the work of your own hands. And you can, harness more energy that's in you, the power that's in you, to where you can master yourself with self-mastery, self-knowledge, and you can put yourself back into some good optimal health. And when you deal with food intake, you can eat very little. When I mean very little, I mean very little, because you're feeding off of other sources. You have learned how to transcend the universal laws, not break them. We ain't talking about breaking no laws. Yeah, you need some nourishment. Yeah, you need nutrition, but you need to find out what that is. It just ain't based on what you've been taught. You've just been taught to look at the lowest frequency. And when you deal with spirituality and deal with growth, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about frequencies of vibration. And when we say that, even your physical body is in the game of what? Frequency and vibration, because everything is giving off a number. Everything is giving off an energy. You understand? That's why, in the universal laws, everything is vibrating. The laws of vibration. Everything is moving. There's nothing still. And even in the sciences right now, they ain't make this up. The civilization ain't make nothing up. all it's doing is reviving, clarifying what was already taught. So if it's doing that, that means there must have been a fall of consciousness. And let's don't use that word fall. A lowering of consciousness for whatever reason. Because life is just an experience. You understand? So now, if we went through this experience of feeling what this lower vibration is about, you also can raise the vibration, and that's what the user-friendly thing that the scriptures are all saying around the planet too. You're not going to stay on that lower vibration forever. Because at the end of the story, somebody's going to wake up. Another person's going to wake up, and the way you know that they're awakened, because there'll be a transformation taking place physically, emotionally, mentally, and energetically. It's all one. It all goes together. And how do you know? They'll look better, they'll transform, they'll have more energy, they'll have clarity of thought, they'll always be in the right place at the right time, in tune with the universe. Why shouldn't you be? You was born in it. And we can figure this out being human beings. And you sitting in the ocean of energy. And there's so much medical proof out there now that it's just, see, this message is on offense now. It's no longer on defense defending itself. There's no need to. Because when you got true power, you don't need to defend yourself. It's just straight up on offense. It does what it wants to do. But like I said in my one message, I'm not here to convince you or be a cheerleader. All I'm doing is convincing your brain, the current one, to agree with getting in touch with your own self that already knows the truth. Now there's another proverb that says, if you was to ask me, do I continue to live after I die? Then the person will say, or I will say, well, show me tomorrow. And if you say, okay, well, show me tomorrow then. You can't do it. Now what that is saying is, and I hope I got that right. I hope you caught what I'm saying. Tomorrow's not here, and you don't know if it'll be here. There's many people who thought tomorrow was going to show up, and it didn't. So when somebody gave you that idea that's called reincarnation, there is a reincarnation, but not the way it was given to you. Things have been what? Tampered with. So there's people that's running around thinking that they've been here before. And what got to me was, I tell people all the time, well, this is my first time here. And just due to my abilities of being a Breatharian, that's what I am. You had to have. No, I didn't have to, because if I did, I would remember. I remember, now the lives I do remember is the many lives I had in this life. See, death is also the death of old thoughts and ideas, what we call a spiritual death, because thoughts are energy. And that's why they keep saying, even when transforming yourself, you must, what? Get away from old belief systems in order to bring on a new, in order to make a change, or it's not going to happen. Even though I'm recreating your life. So when the scriptures are saying everybody must die or you must be born again, a death must take place, but it's not talking about a physical death what everybody's been jumping out the window for. Going to some real estate up in the sky. In this lifetime, because you only got one life, because you can't prove tomorrow's coming. You don't know. And if you got this life now, why even play around with it? Because there's also a saying that says, and an older person to vouch for this, I will. And I'm in my 50s. Now listen at this. A day goes slow, but a decade goes fast. And that's the truth. So when you are slacking around, not living life to its fullness, and you only got one life, what are you waiting on? Because what the ancients was talking about was, if everything is energy, and we talk about frequency and vibration, you are to spiritualize or up the vibration of the physical body so it could get to a frequency level where it won't see sickness, illness, and disease. And it don't end. You don't have to see the grave like that. That's why it says death shall be swallowed up in victory. Death, where's your sting? Those are true scriptures. Now, I ain't trying to make you religious, but the rich on this planet believes it, and people like me too. The true seekers, the true people that's in their cult, the true people who are in the mysticism, because they're telling true stories. But now we're taking a roof off of it and letting this thing come right on out now. It's nobody's fault but your own when you're wasting your life and wasting your power. Because the power is in you. But what's dumbed you down was these sayings, because words do have a lot of power. Words can either make you and build you, depending on your understanding, because you got to up your game. Or they could dumb you down. And one thing that dumbed people down was the reincarnation piece. Now let's go back into it. And then I was in a place where this guru came to me, wanted to see me due to my abilities. And he said, for you to have those abilities, that means from your past lifetimes, you accumulated enough whatever credits, I guess, to have what you have now. And I couldn't agree on that. But the past lifetimes, I said, this is my first time here. He said, no, that's impossible. What you mean? I wasn't here 200 years ago. Now, I had a predecessor of an ancestor who was. So he looked at me. See, because I said, that doctrine on how y'all got it, the elite gave it to the poor. Think about that. Now, didn't I just tell you even today that the elite is actually trying to seek physical immortality, but they ain't doing the way. If they believe in reincarnation, they'll just go somewhere and you ever see those movies where somebody knew they were going to come back, so they put a trail so they could find their money again? That's what they'll be doing. But they ain't doing that. They know they only got one life. You don't know it. Your true nature is immortality. That's why even in Egypt, this goes all the way back to Egypt, they got the Ka, which is the word for light or spirit, and the Ba is the personality. Now listen at this. First of all, before we talk about reincarnation, let's look at incarnation. Because you are incarnate being right now. You're living, you're looking at me, you're listening to me. You incarnated. What that mean was, there's a spirit, which you are. We can use the word spirit, deity. Look at the definition. A deity, you're God, you're the source. And it embodied a body. It came into, you're like an avatar. There's an energy force, because have you ever been to a funeral when the body's laying there, but the spirit left, the energy left, it went somewhere else, it dissipated. So you are embodying, you a deity or a spirit or a personality that came into this. That's what incarnation is. But let's go even further. It's a person who embodied a body, a deity or a spirit or a personality that's manifested into a body. But now what is the definition of a person? Now in the Kabbalah teachings, a person is a program. That's all you are. You only can function on the information or the program that you are. See, your body is like a biocomputer. It's a living computer. These external computers were made off of you. Because keep in mind, you incarnated into this realm. You embodied a biocomputer that you're living in. That's why I keep saying that the body is the gateway to the invisible forces. Everybody just was ignorant due to the program you was under. So when you got the Breatharian knowledge, it is giving you another program to function off of that you have to download into your biocomputer so you can change the outcome of what's been happening to you. Because you don't know what a perfect diet is. There's nobody on this planet will tell you what perfect diet for the human being. I know some people act like they know fish, this, that. No, it's not. You should have no other God before me. The only thing keeping you alive is energy, spirit, because that's what you are. And that's why we deal in the age of fasting. That is the greatest healing therapy on this planet when you know what you're doing. And now we're coming with the Breatharian knowledge saying, no, we're not saying put tape on your mouth. If you go through it, the ritual of making yourself whole and healthy and at a good pace, so your body can bring in more spirit or more light inside of this biocomputer, where you get another program where you can bring more data in. See, there's some like the cell phones. The first cell phones can't hold the capacity that these ones got right now. They go way slower. Let's go to the 5G, the 4G, the 3G. They go faster, faster, faster. So now we're in the age of Breatharian knowledge. That's a high frequency download. You got to be able to catch it. And it leads to physical immortality. You got to be able to catch it. It exists. It's a program. And all it is saying is take care of yourself at a higher quality level. What's wrong with that? And your body will take care of the rest by its nature. That's why it always heals itself on its nature. If you smoke cigarettes, as soon as you stop smoking, the body automatically goes heal itself. And if you wait long enough without smoking, it won't be long before you be, spitting up some nicotine. The body's getting rid of it. And the more you don't do it, the more nicotine will start coming up. The body's getting rid of it. Now it is a hard part. And I ain't picking on cigarettes. It's anything like that. The mucus in your system, the food that's accumulated in you, you're going to go through that healing crisis or nature's operation. But once you get the body to a certain point and learning the energy channels in your body, meditating, learning the power of your mind-body connection, because they're already connected. You're an incarnated being. You have incarnated. And that's why the Pharaoh said that their Ka, the Kaaba. The Ka was the spirit, the Ba was the physical body, the personality. They became one. And the Ka ruled over the Ba. But what's happening with humanity is that the Ba is ruling over the Ka. The energy's low. And the Ba can't sustain itself. That's why you're going to external things. You got to build up your Ka or your Chi or your Prana. So the reincarnation was, those of you who got memories, depending on what age you're in, remember you was in high school? You could talk about it just like it was yesterday. It's a memory. And it was yesterday. I don't care if you're 60, 70 years old. It was yesterday. But that was a whole nother lifetime that you was living. You was the same person, but it was another lifetime. And the more you live, the more you see people die. You see many people leave from here. The older you get, you're going to see more and more leave. Because they didn't get the memo of going into their second life. Your second life begins when you realize you only got one. Because your physical body, if I lived 200 years ago and I had another physical body, that is impossible to be you. I am me. You know why? My mother. I'm not my mother. I'm not my father. They are two different people. Okay, I got DNA and genes and all that. We understand that. Certain characteristics, certain features, but that is not me. I remember my grandfather. That wasn't me. That's a whole other person. Actually, I don't even know those people. And I don't mean they didn't raise me either. You understand? Close. But you don't know them. Those are whole nother spirits. So for you to say you was living 200, 300, 400 years ago and trying to claim that was a game we was playing. Because what that does is dumb down your psyche You think you got time that when you do die, you think you're going to come back next time and do it all over again. But when you're dealing with the powerful universal spirit, it don't need to learn no lessons and come back again so you can develop. It is what it is. You only got one life. Don't worry, you won't remember when it's over, just like when the light turns off. And I know it felt good when you think when you die, you know, you're going to see your mother again, your father again, and whoever passed away before you, and the dog that you had when you was 9 years old. Somebody gave you that. So that you can what? That was an obstacle course. See, you got to return back into the Genesis mind where you were naked. Now, what do nakedness mean? It don't mean you just take off your clothes and run around naked. Because after the sin or the fall in the scriptures, that's when people started building clothes or out of fig leaves. In other words, they started building belief systems to cover up their shame from, that's when you lost your immortality. That's what happened to our ancients. So to get back your immortality, you got to become pristine and naked again. You got to break all those belief systems that was given to you. All these names of God, they don't mean a hill of beans. That came after the fall. Anything that came after when Adam became naked, it don't mean a hill of beans. You could drop it, you won't die. And reincarnation is one of them. You're already an immortal. See, that's the key. Before the fall of consciousness, what would you need a reincarnation doctrine for? He was already living forever. So it's still the same way. It ain't changed. You see how that dumbed you down? You think you got another chance. Your second life begins when you realize you only got one. And when you realize you got one, you're going to start being grateful and start living life to its fullness. You know how many spirits wanted the chance to have a physical body? To be here and you walking around complaining, sad, not even enjoying life, making it miserable for yourself and for others. Can't even see. That's spiritual blindness. It ain't nobody doing nothing to you. You got a false enemy. Did I say that? Yep. A false enemy that you're making up in your own mind. Most people's suffering is coming through their imagination. I know it's hard in the beginning, but you got to break those. You got to break those what? Those clothes that was built from fig leaves. And every god, and I ain't talking about nobody's god. I ain't gonna say no names. I just want you to think about it. Every name you throwing out your mouth, dedicate yourself to. You can live without it. Those are part of the fig leaves. And every spiritual teacher. I dropped them all. I dropped them all until I realized that I'm the creator. I'm the spirit. I'm the light or the avatar or the personality that incarnated in this, and it's my job to what? Resurrect it and raise the vibration. And I'm not going to see death. I don't need to eat. I don't need to drink. I don't need to sleep. Because I'm a spirit. This is serious, isn't it? That's who you are. It don't seem like it when you're on a low vibration. That's why you got to give yourself time and understand that all your past lifetimes in this life, those are the ones you remember. You remember Dick Gregory, activist, comedian. Now, he said some real good things. He said, and him being an African American, of course he grew up in an African American community where the church is a big thing. And everybody's talking to God and all of this and the Holy Spirit and stuff. He grew up around it, you know. So that was kind of put on you through an idea. But then one day he started being truthful with himself and said, God never talked to me. Now he was an older man then. God never talked to me. That right there is a big relief. Because the most conversation that's going on in your mind is you. You got to stop playing the game with yourself. That's you. And it's good when you can admit to that. And I remember one time when I was younger, when I was caught up, I really wanted to talk to God on how they was teaching me. So I dedicated myself to go to this noonday prayer meeting every single day. I'm dedicated, crossing every T, dotting every I. So I'm praying hard one day. And this woman, at the end of the prayer, she came up to me. Elitom, the Lord just told me that me and you should get together. Now, she was beautiful in the physical, but I was upset. I was upset because how did you hear the voice of God talk to you to say we're supposed to get together and I didn't hear it? And I know you have stepped. I know we say we don't supposed to judge nobody. No, you have stepped. I'm taking this very seriously, and ain't no voice of God talk to me. And they tell me. That's serious when you can admit these things. And it was amazing when I stood up to that thought. It wasn't long before the next week, I guess God told her to go be with somebody else. And another good thing Dick Gregory said, he used to always say that this system is a game. This is a game, man. This is a straight up game, the whole system. Now, he was talking about the physical system on that level, but I'm taking it to another level, that life itself is a game. Not a trivial game, but this is a serious game. Now, on one level, you cannot die. Your soul, your spirit, your incarnate. But when you leave from here, it is not going to be the personality that you have right now. The personality that you have right now is like that due to the physical body you're housing, through duality, so you can play a better game. See, the good contest is if you can master this physical body and become one with it, then that's where you can keep your personality. Other than that, you're not going to keep it. You're not going to remember. You're done. That's the game. Now, in the end, you really don't lose because you won't remember no way. Oh, did I say that? Yep. That's why your second life begins when you find out you only got one. So you won't take it seriously if you think you're going somewhere else, you're going to heaven, you're going to be baby, you're going to come back again, and all this old stuff. That's why you haven't been taking it seriously. There's things now you should be able to nip that in the bud, but you won't, for whatever reason. But when you find out you got one life and you start meditating on that, and when you leave from here, the lights is going to be out. Now, if that's what you want, fine. When you say, uh-oh, I love this. I want to see the fruits. I want to see more. I want to see what happens. I'm not going to die with this knowledge. So you are going to take on a death, but it's going to be a spiritual death. That mind you got right now and those belief systems you holding, they got to die. They got to go. That's why I'm coming with this message of that reincarnation, that move that was given to you, that's given to a poor person, ignorant. This is my first time here, like I said. And the reason why I'm on this journey, because I realized I got one life. When I woke up to that, this is why I'm running hard. And I might as well say it. I'm one of the best masters on this planet right now because I realize I got one life. Ain't nobody going to have a higher energy than me, and I'm just going to sit back. We're either going to be, what, vibing together? Because that's how hard you're taking it. Were you scared of death? Yep. Because I only got one life. But when you think you got time, playing around, chasing things that don't even mean nothing, you start narrowing that stuff off. I'm not saying don't have the experiences of life, but when you have it, let it go. Sit it down. It don't mean a hill of beans or who you really are. You should not let that kill you. take you up out of here. A biscuit. A chicken. Even an apple. I mean, eat all the applesauce you want, but after a while, you got to outgrow it. See, there's a story where Shiva outgrew hunger. And when he outgrew hunger, it brought forth peace. But Shakti, his woman, said, you outgrew hunger. What about me? So you are dealing in a world when you do outgrow hunger. When you get on this path, everybody around you is hungry. And the human's hunger is different than the animal's hunger. The animal is basically living for the moment and he'll go satisfy his hunger. And he's done. But the human, he's thinking about tomorrow, next week, next year, to still his hunger by all means necessary. And then not only he got a physical hunger for food, he got a physical hunger for money, positions, power, materialism. Those are all hungers. Hungry animal, which makes them very dangerous. But when you outgrow your hunger, that's when peace comes about. You don't have to run around hungry. But I'm hungry. That sounds foolish right there for you to be that type of powerful being. You got a void that cannot be filled, cannot be satisfied. That's why the scripture says what? I give you a what? A water where you will not thirst no more. The manna from heaven will feed you. Those are all similitudes that's telling you the same thing. So you must die spiritually, mentally, in order to be reborn. Not going back to your mother's room or dying to reincarnate like they told you. You die here and now in the land of the living and be reborn in the land of the living. That's the crossover. When your perception changes, you look at things differently. And then that's what the scripture says in Revelation chapter 3, and I saw a new heaven, which is a new mind. And we know now, don't act like you don't know what this is saying. When you get new information, new empowerment within the mind, it's going to show in the physical body. It's going to show in your life. So that's what we're talking about. We all got this now. And don't be worried about, I do my best to try to teach down to earth. No, serious. You're not going to make a change overnight. It don't happen like that for nobody, not even me. I'm tough now. And the hits you take along the way, don't worry about it. It ain't about nobody else but you. You start to learn to look down at it at an angle where your full job is you're working on your frequency of vibration is to remove blockages. Any blockage you have in you, remove it. Anyone come your way, you learn how to remove it so the energy can keep flowing by its nature. It does it by its nature. But the key is to realize something is a block. Now that's the part right there. So that's why I'm coming with this reincarnation, that idea that came about that basically said you got time and you this and you that. No, you're not. You only got one life because you're one entity and all you know is life. You don't know death. Not like that. You cut your hand, it'll start healing itself, all this stuff. That's all you know is life. Your whole anatomy. Death is an invention like that. I gotta talk out there now like that. So keep in mind, your second life begins when you wake up. But you have to realize you got one life. And that's why they say in spiritualities and spiritual circles, your spiritual journey begins when you realize how ignorant you are. You thought you had time and all this other mess. You got all the time, but your time is here and now. You have to work what's given to you. Work with that thing. Take it a little bit more serious. Up your game a little bit. And then these words I'm talking will become more of a reality. So the reincarnation, when I was in the Navy, that was another lifetime, even though it seemed like it was yesterday. When I got married at first, you know, she passed away, bless her soul, beautiful woman. That was another lifetime. And each lifetime you was growing, building something to build you who you are now. You understand? But the only thing that exists, now listen at this, is the now. Remember that? Now, if you agree with that, the only thing that exists is now. You weren't there 200 years ago or 500 years ago. You weren't there. You're only here now. See, this is the Genesis. The Genesis never left. All generations is the same generation. But you weren't those people. The person you are, if your feet is on the ground right now, you are incarnated right now. You are the deity, the God mind that has to grow, blossom, just like a lotus, and it can regenerate itself and be here forever. And things, and don't let things get you down like you to damage yourself too much and all of this. You are so powerful, you can turn all that around. You might as well go for it. What else you waiting on? Like I said, this path is for somebody who realized they only got one life. And I told some woman a couple days ago, giving me all these excuses. I said, well, start walking in the morning to get that energy moving. But I can't. The dogs, the this, the that. And I said to her, I bet right now if there was some TV show that came to you, it will tell you every day I want you to walk for an hour in the morning. And if you do it for a year, at the end of the year, we'll give you $1 million. You'll do it. She started laughing. You got me? Yeah, I sure would. You got to understand, when you are doing these things for yourself, that's why they say your health is your wealth. Health is holiness, wholeness. It's immortality. Hands down. That's what the Breatharian message is. It's hardcore. It's a high vibration. You are getting paid for it. Nature pays you when you earn it. That other stuff don't pay you. Now there's an old saying that says true power don't need money. See, this comes in levels and degrees. True power don't need money. But listen at this too, to make it more down to earth, so you can look at things differently. Now we know by now that money is not everything. You understand? We are in a system that the money is all around the planet and every system is using it. Okay? Don't act like it ain't. But money is not everything. Everybody do kind of got the memo on that. Well, some people don't. I met them. And all they do is run in trouble, don't understand what's happening. But it sucks being broke. Did I say that? Yep. Money's not everything, but it sucks being broke. So to talk down to earth now, depending on what level and degree you at, learn to get you a livelihood that's user-friendly. You ain't got to be greedy with it. But the main thing is to cultivate and work with your vibration. That means a whole lot more because that's the real finances. Remember when I said nature pays you? Look at what the scripture says. The scripture says that, what? God said, I know your pain and your affliction, but you are rich. See, nature knows you're rich. You are rich beyond measure. The jewels is inside of you. They're your glands. They perpetrate life. But due to ignorance, you don't know that that's where the finances is at. So you got to make a plan to resurrect again, to ascend, to become new, to bring forth a new mind, to bring on your glory and your power. So again, your second life begins when you realize you only got one. And you are an incarnated being, and your reincarnations already took place. And each time you go to a new enlightenment, see, even where I'm at now, I'm going to bring forth a new death, another one again. I'm going to reincarnate again soon, in this lifetime. Because you're constantly taking on more spiritual deaths, energetic deaths, to bring on a new energetic life. This is what it's all about. This is the true teachings. All that other stuff was something that was straight ignorance. Darkness has covered the earth. The earth represents the physical body. That means sickness, pain, ignorance, and the heavens was dark. That's how the scriptures is talking, the similitudes. That means the mind was ignorant. I don't care if you was that's why I said my people are being destroyed for lack of knowledge. Now, there's all types of knowledge out there. It ain't talking about any old type of knowledge. I don't care what degree you got. It's not talking about that knowledge. It's talking about the knowledge of life. The knowledge of the universal principles. That's where the power is at. And when you get into that, you are an incarnated being, a deity, or a spirit embodying this body, and you're the only one talking about it. Your thoughts is just that powerful and you're driving them. You have to master yourself. This is a great accomplishment. And you can do it. Yeah, you can. You're well able and prepared to do it. And your present situation you in now is the best situation for you because the universe is perfect. There's no flaws with this situation. It's the right situation for you, believe that. But when you resurrect up out of it, and you put all your reincarnations together, you see your new incarnation that you brought on, then you got something to shine about. That's the great initiation, the great power that you have recreated yourself, the God who brought forth creation, a new heaven and a new earth. All right, I hope you got a lot out of this. There's a lot in this now. There's a lot in this. And I know this is going to step on a lot of people because people give you all types of spiritual stories. I hear it so many times, I just sit there. You know, there was people who was kings and people who was a shaman. Everybody was something important in their last life. You know what I mean? And it gets deeper and deeper with these stories. And then when I talked about just now that you're the God, there ain't nobody else but you. So when I hear people, that's just how you interpret it. You know, spirit guides, ancestors and stuff talking to you and all that. I even broke them down. You don't mean the human beings. You got to go back naked again. All of that came after the fact, after the fall. When you rise in consciousness, you'll be able to see that. Oh man. And all you got to do is look at the teachers who was teaching that. Most of them is gone. They can't even stop a cold. That's the fall. So I hope you got a lot out of this. I'll talk to you again. This is Elitom El-Amin. This was nice and mellow, to the point. And we're going to keep on moving on, keep on getting stronger and stronger. So I love you once again. Peace and blessings.